Hi, vintage bakers. Today I'm in the kitchen making a cornmeal white sandwich bread. A delicious and hearty cornmeal white sandwich bread, perfect for slicing for thick sandwiches or serving on the side of your favorite cozy soup. This bread has a golden chewy crust and a soft interior with the perfect old-fashioned rustic flavor. The cornmeal adds a subtle sweetness and texture, making each slice perfect for slathering with butter or serving alongside your favorite soups and stews. A true comfort food bread that's both filling and satisfying. The rustic earthy flavor and slight sweetness balances perfectly with the savory aroma, the ideal hearty country loaf perfect for slicing. So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make cornmeal white sandwich bread. To start my bread dough, I'm going to add to a saucepot over medium-low heat 1½ cups of milk, 1¼ cups of water, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1/4 cup of shortening, and 1 cup of cornmeal. I'm going to stir this occasionally until the shortening melts and the cornmeal just starts to cook and thicken. Then I can remove it from the heat and set it aside to cool slightly until it's warm but not hot. If we continue on making the recipe when the mixture is too hot, it will affect the yeast and our bread loaves won't rise. Now that my mixture has cooled, I'm going to stir in 2¼ teaspoons or 1 packet of dry active yeast. Set this aside until you just start to see bubbles form from the yeast activating. This should take about 8 to 10 minutes. Next, I'm going to add in 6¼ cups of all-purpose flour. Stir this mixture together until a dough just starts to form. Then I'm going to tip it out onto a lightly floured counter and knead the dough for about 10 minutes. This is going to help develop the gluten structure in the bread and create a smooth, soft dough ball. If you're using a machine, knead for about 8 minutes. Once my dough has come together, I'm going to coat a large bowl with a little bit of oil. Turn the dough ball around a few times in the bowl to coat it. Then cover the bowl with either a piece of plastic wrap or a damp kitchen towel and allow the dough to rise in a warm spot until doubled, which should take about 1½ hours. Now my dough has nicely puffed up and I'm going to tip it back out onto the counter. This is enough dough to make 2 good-sized bread loaves. I'm just going to eyeball it here to split it in half, but if you want to be completely accurate, then you can use a kitchen scale. Now I need to shape each half into a loaf. I do this by flattening the dough out and folding it in thirds, kind of like a letter going into an envelope. Then, working in the opposite direction, roll the dough into a little fat log shape. Push and press the dough together a little bit as you roll to seal it. Then pinch each end closed to form a smooth loaf. Then I'm going to cover the dough again and set them aside in a warm spot until doubled. This should take about 1 hour, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. While I'm waiting, I'm going to preheat the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. My dough has nicely puffed up and is ready to bake in my preheated oven for 30 minutes or until golden brown and sounds hollow when tapped. As soon as my freshly baked bread comes out of the oven, I'm going to brush the top of each loaf with a little bit of butter. This step is optional, but it's going to give me a soft and tender crust. Allow your bread to cool slightly and then slice and serve. This bread has a gorgeous hearty texture that holds up to thickly filled sandwiches. It adds the perfect satisfying texture to serve alongside soups and stews for a well-rounded meal. And the lovely golden cornmeal adds the perfect subtle sweet flavor that really makes this bread a special treat. Since this is a thicker, heartier loaf, it holds up really well to slicing, especially after it's allowed to cool. No more smooshed bread loaves. This loaf remains strong and sturdy. A true comfort food bread that's both filling and satisfying. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.